Okay, we're live.
Welcome to all of our participants throughout the United States from the Universal Peace Federation and the American Clergy Leadership Conference. We have an ongoing partnership now that's working on reducing violence in America, especially gun violence. I'm very happy to have a presentation today. Reverend Oliver will be with us next week. But we are now working in tandem with many of the police departments across the country. And we are also working with the Fraternal Order of Police to help give more support to the officers of the police departments and their difficulties and trials to be able to bring safety to our communities. We are today we are going to show some past events we did to help Back the Blue. We are doing a program now called Back the Blue. It's a wonderful program, and it's focused on supporting and partnering with our local police, and also doing this with clergy, and also with the UPF Ambassadors for Peace. This is a very powerful thing. We were very surprised when we went to Chicago. So I'll begin a short presentation right now to share with you. And then we're going to also hear from Mr. Nasser Zamarad, who's our chairman of UPF in LA. And also I'd like to call on William Stoner to share. I'm going to show some of the photos, Bill, from the Peace Road program you had in Chicago, and you can help explain the photos as we go through them. Simple program today, but we're going to continue to advance by our consistency. We'll be here every Wednesday, rain or shine, as long as we have electricity and good internet feed. So we want to invite everybody. We'll build this up. I see Marie Galper from Sacramento's here. I'm very happy to see you. Nadia, you're so consistent. We have many, many guests on today. Charles de Wattville, Reverend Bruce Grodner, Dr. David Casbo. We'll be calling on you. We can have a discussion. Mr. Ray McCready, our chairman, co-chairman of the whole Subregion 5, the western region of California and other states, together with Hawaii. Very happy. You see Reverend Atif Javed here, who's international. We really respect you and thank you for your ministry. So now I'd like to share first what we did a few months ago with the ACLC, with Dr. Luan Rouse, and the ACLC Women in Ministry with Dr. Reiko Jenkins, and also with the evangelist, Dr. Rita Pritchett. So I'm going to just pull these slides up. Stopping the Violence is our theme. We also have Dr. Madeline Clark Alexander, who's been a special guest on many programs. We're very happy you're here, Madeline. Today, we're going to open up for a discussion. I'm just going to give a short presentation. This happened May 17th. ACLC organized through one of our ACLC leaders, evangelist Dr. Rita Pritchett, who is 35 years on the, and now is a chaplain for Chicago PD, a prominent ACLC pastor. And we went to Lodge number 7 there in Chicago. Here's Pastor Barrett and also evangelist Dr. Rita Pritchett, and alderman and now bishop, Alderman Coleman, Shirley Coleman, has one of the toughest districts in the country. Her daughter's the current alderman, and she's in the ward that covers Englewood, where most of the violence over the weekends in Chicago occurs. And this officer here is a very special officer, Officer Chung. He's currently a commander over about 180 officers. And we really had an excellent program. This is Deputy Chief of Chicago PD, together with Chairman Dr. Rouse, co-chairman of ACLC. The Deputy Chief gave a very interesting reflection. He talked about the role of pastors with the police. He said the pastors have always been helpful. He said when they get involved, they're always helpful. They're pastoral, they support the police, they support the families. And that was an interesting comment because, very important to realize the role of clergy is critically important because no one is closer to the community than the pastors. They're serving the community. They're not paid by the community. But next, also the elected officials, although they are elected and they have an official role, they're also very close to the community. This is Mr. Mete, um, wonderful vice president of the FOP of Chicago. Great, great man. And he's done so much to enlighten us about the trauma going on with police officers across the country. Just last month, 3 Chicago police officers committed suicide. It's just absolutely horrific. It's very similar to what our veterans are going through coming back from Afghanistan or Iraq. PSTD is a reality. One of the things that is really causing officers across the country enormous stress was this unethical, defund the police idea, and that caused also people blaming the police for all of the problems that are going on in the community. It's really, really terrible. If you look at the statistics on police and engagement with gun violence, there's so few incidents of police actually shooting people. It's phenomenal, but that comes up to the front like it's a main cause of trouble. There are police that need discipline. There are police that need to be dismissed. But Officer Mete really helped us understand the percentages are so small. It's really not representative of our police. But why they're so stressed right now? Because of all this anti-police rhetoric that went on for the last couple of years. What happened was no one wants to become police officers now. They don't have enough enrollment. They don't have enough recruits. They don't have enough people in training. So what's happening is the Chicago PD right now is doing 12-hour shifts 7 days a week. Most of the officers, you can't imagine the stress. You don't even have a day off. So here was our program there at the FOP. The officers right to the left of Pastor Barrett are part of the Chicago PD choir, which we had no idea even existed. They go around even to the tough gang-ridden areas, and they'll go right up where drug dealing is going on and pull the choir together and start singing. It's amazing. It's an amazing thing that's actually happening. And this is another officer who's not an officer now, he's a captain, very prominent. There's Alderman Coleman, and we had a beautiful kind of fellowship together. And this is the Chicago PD choir. And one of the pastors who's not only a pastor, but she's also a police officer. She's with the choir. And we find that a lot. Our churches are really tied, like evangelist Dr. Rita Pritchard did a wonderful job. And this is just an occasion of comfort, an occasion of healing. All these officers lost their lives in the line of duty in Chicago. It's really shocking. If you see, it's like frontline, people that are there protecting us. And we've got to really understand they need us. They need support, and they need our affirmation. So we found a lot of hope in this effort. And we are very pleased to be part of this. And we want to go on with Dr. Rouse and Dr. Madeline Clark Harris, and Alderwoman Coleman is just a bishop now, a beautiful church. And there's Reverend Willie Weston and Reverend Takami, who are like the co-chairs of ACLC for Chicago, and Pastor Barrett, of course. And we honored them. We honored the Commander Chung, Stephen Chung, and we honored also this officer was really well known in Chicago because Officer Acevedo, he really came to the aid of 2 other officers. And what happened was, it's a very famous story in Chicago because a beautiful police officer woman has 2 children and also has a stellar record. And she was off with her partner in Englewood, and they did a normal traffic stop. I don't know what it was for. It looked like a tail light was out or something like that. And she got out of the car and went to check the driver's license and so forth. And a hail of gunfire came right out of the car, shot her many times. Her partner got in a gun battle with them and he was wounded severely. He was able to drag her back to the car. Then Officer uh, Armando came and really protected both of them, got them to the hospital, and the lady died. The man survived, but this was the first time he was really given a public honor for that. And I'm really, really, really grateful for him. I'm sorry, his officer, Christian Saucedo, forgive me for the miss on the name. And then Officer also Torres. This was another lieutenant that came to receive that on his behalf because he was on patrol at that time. But I can't tell you how important this is to support the police in this way. So I'm really thankful for our Chicago team for doing that. Really, really powerful experience. So I'd like to now go to also what happened in Chicago with a beautiful program. What was tied to our UPF Peace Road. And just give me a moment, I'll pull that up as we're preparing now. And I will get that lined up really quickly. In fact, first I'll go to the report from Nasser. Hold on, Nasser, don't unmute yet, but I'm going to pull up your presentation on what's been going on in LA, which is really an outstanding development. Just a minute, make sure I can get that screen. Got it. And these are just some pictures from LA PD and LA Sheriff's Department, LA County. Go ahead, Nasser, unmute and tell us about these pictures.
Yeah, hi everybody. Thank you so much, Dr. Jenkins. Yeah, Dr. Jenkins just asked me to share a little bit of my experience with LAPD and
Nasser, if you could speak. Nasser, if you could speak. Speak louder, Nasser.
yeah.
Please speak loudly.
How about now? Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Jenkins, to set up this program. I'm so inspired because recent years, as a UPF director, I start to think that, we have to embrace everybody in Los Angeles area, Southern California, and came to my mind and my heart that I should work with actually law enforcement, the chief, LA chief, Mike Moore, that's him, and also the
Everybody, this is the chief of police of Los Angeles,
yeah,
LAPD, Michael Moore. And he has called on Nasser several times and had not only in-person meetings, but also Zoom meetings. Go ahead, Nasser.
Yes. So I really felt by getting to know Chief Moore and also the Sheriff Alex Villanueva, that these people actually, they working so hard and they put their life in jeopardy and they need our help. They always try to get, faith leaders to get together and have interfaith. This is Officer Barragan. He organized it, interfaith for.
This is Officer Barragan. So Nasser, how did you get involved with the LAPD? Tell us how that happened.
Yes, they had the interfaith on Zoom, and they find out about UPF, and they invited me. So I went to the Zoom and I saw that they have wonderful program, and most of the people actually they were on that Zoom. First Zoom were rabbis and Jews, but then I asked the chief if he can make it more interfaith with all of their faith leaders, and so he said that that one was particular for Jewish. So he was thinking to have to develop that with other faiths. So after that, they asked me to invite some faith leaders so we can work together with other organizations. And I have many contacts with different faith leaders. So I invited them, also Dr. Jenkins and many other leaders from UPF. They joined us, and the chief came on the Zoom and expressed, his feeling and his activities, his vision to us. So we had a good relation. We established a good foundation to work with them, and they're really desperate to work with us. And this is one of my guests, Satpal, and from Sikh leader. And then they invited me to another uh, another program they had in Los Angeles, and they want just invite leaders, faith leaders, to come there and show their support. And there were all kind of media over there, and they were interview with us, and they, just so media is very picky on chief and law enforcement. They really criticize him many times, many ways. And so this chief felt that, he needs support from religious leaders. So we're there, and, we feel very comfortable with him, and he shared with us, and he was so happy. So I felt that Chief Moore was very able type person. He want to work with us. He need desperate, he's so desperate to work with faith leaders, because he believed that, we can reduce also the crime in our society by educating our congregation, our people. And so when, I feel that we are spiritual leaders, and spiritually we can, teach families and people that we get involved with them, invite them always for interfaith and this and that. So we can teach them how we can work with law enforcement, because these people really sacrifice their life. Many times I feel that, they've been killed, like about 2 months ago in South El Monte, two young officers. They got killed by one very terrible person. He was a drug dealer. So he just shoot two officers, and these two officers, they have wonderful family. So I see that, this officer that I worked with them, they are very family oriented. They have beautiful family and children, but still they
Yes,
put
yes.
their life, in jeopardy to secure our families. And they've been criticized so bad. Anytime it happen, people just call the police right away. So, in general, people just depend on them. But when it comes to, their situation that they are facing difficulties, not so many people support them. If they've been killed, not so many people demonstrate, and, they don't support that. But if one person they kill by mistake or whatever, they don't kill people just, out of nothing. When criminals, they run away and they have gone, of course they have to defend themselves and other people. So I felt that they've been criticized so bad, but they don't support them so much. So we really need to help them. One of the officer, Baragon, he told me, out of 17,000 phone calls, there were only about 6 or 7 real crime that happened, and they needed them. Anything happen, any argument, anything in society happen, they call the police and they say, "Oh, we need your help." If they come late, they're gonna criticize them like the way, So they've been
That's
really
amazing.
in bad spot, and so they feel very good when the UPF and our movement and other organizations supporting them. They feel more love, more support. At least we can meet them, talk to them. Also, we can educate them too, because some of them, of course, they are racist and this and that. They are personal, like, George Floyd situation, and also Rodney King.
Well, thank you,
Thank
Nasser.
This
Thank
is
you
what
very
I'm
much.
feeling about, this officer. Thank you so much, Dr. Jenkins.
Thank you, Nasser. Great that you're building this foundation and you've inspired our whole country. I'd like to switch now to Mr. Bill Stoner. If we could bring him on, EJ, and Nasser can wait, and we'll call you back, Nasser. But I'd like to share some of the program that occurred on July 30th in Chicago called Peace Road. And Peace Road is our national effort, and for safer communities, a safer world. And this is Reverend Kunihiro is one of our hosts and leaders of the American Clergy Leadership Conference. So go ahead, Bill. Just tell us about what was going on here. This is Reverend Bill Stoner, who is our executive director for UPF and the whole Midwest area, from Indiana on to about 17 states. So go ahead, Bill.
I was asked to introduce Reverend Zachary Oliver. So I don't have the notes about his biography, but he's been very instrumental in this program to bring healing to cities. And so I was just introducing him to the audience, and he gave a major address about how Chicago can work together to create a safer city.
Great. So you have the program there with you?
Yes.
Reverend Oliver spoke, and then we had very strong participation from the Chicago PD as well as the Chicago pastors, and especially in that area. This is a pastor named Pastor Joy, and also her husband. And we have wonderful occasion where not only the pastor spoke, but the police officer spoke. And I have a program here. So we had first Apostle Scott from Faith Temple Church of God in Christ. And then we had Pastor Ronald Bloomberg. Ronald Bloomberg is the pastor of this church, and just an outstanding church, a very beautiful church community. And he hosted this breakfast. I'm just getting back to here's the church here. It's a very prominent church in Chicago. And that's Faith Temple Church of God in Christ, right there in Chicago. And they had a beautiful breakfast for everybody. Forgive me for flashing through so many pictures, but I want to get to the key program. A very, very good turnout, over 100 people. And this is Pastor Ronald Bloomberg. And then we also had, of course, as Reverend Stoner said, Reverend Oliver, who's our executive vice president of UPF, did a tremendous job. I mean, he's spearheading this whole program to stop the violence. And, Chicago's been a place where the shootings are just every single weekend, especially holiday times. But it's pretty much located, well, it's all over Chicago right now. The Chicago PD told us in our meeting with the Fraternal Order of Police that now they're having tremendous trouble on the Magnificent Mile.
Talk to you later.
The Magnificent Mile is kind of the premier area of Chicago with all the Bloomingdale's and all the high-end, stores and fancy, beautiful, beautiful hotels, kind of like the Water Tower area. But now they're having trouble with carjacking. Carjackings have skyrocketed because the lack of the prosecutors prosecuting people. Here's Pastor Barrett in yellow, just such a father to the community. And we're so grateful for all of these officers that came. 19 officers came to this program, by the way, and 19 pastors, and it was focused on one district of Chicago. So what we had here is after Reverend Oliver spoke, then Lieutenant Daniel Allen came and spoke. And he's the one that also is the director of that Chicago choir, which was really an amazing phenomenon. I got to come by Zoom there. I was so grateful because we had a program in Baltimore that I had already committed to. So I had our Peace Road program there. And that was really nice. So I really appreciate our Chicago team. And this is Lieutenant Allen, who, he's a lieutenant. He has quite a force under him, under his responsibility. They're regular, every day to day, protecting every community, every kind of call, those 17,000 calls, somebody has to respond. You know how scary it is if you call the police and nobody responds. It's so frightening. That's happening in Portland, Oregon right now. There's an announcement on the recording for also Seattle Police Department that, the police cannot respond now to your call. This kind of thing is really incredible. But we believe that this is, as Pastor will tell you, Dr. Madeline Clark Harris, this is also a battle that we're fighting, as the Bible says, we fight not against flesh and blood, but about the leaders of the darkness of this world, principalities, and spiritual wickedness in high places. We're fighting that kind of battle, and the police know this very well. This is not simply a battle of flesh and blood. This is a battle that is also like, trying to upend peace in our communities. And the whole idea is there are, spiritual forces that want to create havoc and create despair. So that's why they're fighting, and they're Christians. Lieutenant Allen and the wonderful choir they put together. They're all officers there. There's the bishop who was with us last time with the FOP, and it's really, really great. So, and I don't know, Reverend Stoner, these young people, are they part of the Youth Association of Police?
They are. I apologize, I didn't get the name of the group, but yes, they were part of the choir.
Yeah, great, great.
Dr. Jenkins, I think the commander officer tried to be on the Zoom. I think he is on the Zoom if you
Oh,
look for
wonderful,
him.
wonderful.
So just look for his name. I think
Okay,
he just called me. He
we'll
tried
just
to be on
finish
the
this
Zoom.
presentation and we'll go right to the
Just call
commander.
his name, please.
All right, so
Yeah.
we had this beautiful engagement, but I want to get to the final conclusion really quickly here. And I thank you, officer, for joining us from LA Sheriff's Department. The police need that engagement in the community, and that's why we did this partnership with Chicago PD. This is July 30th. Chicago PD, we did this together with them so that we can also build the bridges of peace. And that's why right here, I'll show it really quickly if I can get back to it. Just a second, to this previous set of photos like this, because I can quickly go to the conclusion. Was very special because 19 Chicago police officers got up and went over the Bridge of Peace with 19 pastors of the LAPD. And what happened was the pastors were given by the officers, they were given the Back the Blue t-shirts. Every one of the pastors got a Back the Blue t-shirt. And then also, here they are, all the officers of the Chicago PD, there are 19 of them came out. And this is all in one district. And all the pastors from that district were lined up on the left here. And the pastors received a Back the Blue t-shirt. That was beautiful. And then the police officers received our affirmation of Back the Blue. And also we gave each one of them a Peace Road t-shirt. So that was just incredible. I love this picture. I love this picture. This is just amazing. 19 police officers, 19 pastors. We are committed together to help one another and protect the police and support them with the support of the community, because the community is the source of all the young people, and they're the source of the family. They're everything. So we're really grateful here. And I'm going to conclude with that. And if we have our officer on, I'm very, very encouraged. Oh, Commander Race, God bless you. Thank you so much for your work, sir. We didn't expect that you would come directly, but we're honored. I'm Dr. Michael Jenkins. I work with NASSER. I'm the national chairman of the Universal Peace Federation, and we're doing a program. For years, we've been in the community, in every community of every major city. And thank you for supporting this effort to Back the Blue, but also become close with the community. So I'd like to just turn it over to you, Officer Reyes. We're very, very honored to have you from LA Sheriff's Department, and we're really, really pleased you could make it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. No, it's an honor and a pleasure to participate this morning. It's for a wonderful cause, and I want to thank everybody for putting this together and for your efforts to gain the public support that's needed for us all in law enforcement to work together to make our cities safer. There's a lot going on. We all know that in the country and really around the world. But it's again, it's my pleasure to participate this morning. My apologies is I received late word to participate in this webinar, but was out in the field, so I couldn't get my bio and my picture on time for the webinar. But
Well, that was our problem.
But I can give just a little short bio of myself.
Please do.
My name is Commander Alfred Reyes. I'm a area commander for the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. I've been on the department in law enforcement for 38 years now. It's just been a wonderful career. And my responsibilities as an area commander is I oversee 6 patrol stations in eastern LA County, and just making sure that all of our stations are complying with department policy, state and federal law, and we're providing the quality service that the public, expects from us. So essentially, in a nutshell, that's what I do as an area commander.
Thank you. So, Commander Reyes, can you share with us how important the support of the community is for your officers, and personal engagement where the officers become friends with the community, which they are our friends, and how can we help more? We have pastors throughout LA County and throughout the nation that want to be involved and want to be from all denominations. And Nasser had several meetings. I know you were very supportive, also with Michael Moore and the LAPD too, with the LA County. So you're well respected, Commander. We've known of you quite some time. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And so to answer that question, it's a 100% necessary. There is no question. There is no doubt. Everybody in law enforcement understands that we need the public support. We need to work with the public to have effective public safety, to have safe cities, safe communities, and this isn't anything that's new. Sir Robert Peel, who established the London Metropolitan Police Department back in 1829, he operated on this particular principle. And the London Metropolitan Police Department is essentially the one of the first just effective known policing principles or agency that all law enforcement operates on here in the United States. But there was something that Sir Robert Peel mentioned in establishing this, and that is the goal is preventing crime, not catching criminals. If the police stop crime before it happens, we don't have to punish citizens. I know that sounds very, very idealistic, but it's nonetheless true. Unfortunately, we live in a society today where we don't enjoy that comfort. But if we have that support of the people and we work together and we get our communities to understand that they have to respect laws, then we can at least strive to get to some point in this particular core principle. But until then, we have to have community members respect law, and we can't acquiesce to turning a blind eye to those law violators, because we end up having what we have now in many areas in our communities. And the good people of the community, the families, they want safe communities. They want to trust the police that patrol their communities, that they work with. So it's our agency understands that, and fortunately we have a sheriff that reaches out and engages the community, engages with clergy of all faiths, engages schools, the city council members of various communities, all of the stakeholders, so that we can put our heads together, collaborate, and make sure that we as a department are fulfilling the expectations of the community, and that we are working together with them, with the community, because we are the community as well in law enforcement.
That's right.
But I know I said a lot, but
No, it's very clear, sir. It's really wonderful that you can be here with us. One question we have is what is the biggest challenge that your team and your county police force are facing in the communities at this time? Is it lack of recruits, or we heard in Chicago they're having a hard time now manning all the shifts that are necessary. So is that hitting your team also?
You know, it is a challenge. Staffing, we understand this is something that's nationwide. We have a number of people that are leaving the department, and we don't have the interest to come onto the department like we have in the past. Fortunately, we do have a very robust recruitment effort, but the biggest challenge that we face is the narrative out there to defund police departments.
That's still very prevalent. That's very prevalent across the country.
You know, and I think what's important for the people out there is in the communities is to understand and know who they're electing into their local governments. And I'm not saying that there are certain programs and models that can be revisited and reworked, but it has to be tried and tested. So it's very important for community members to know who they're electing into their city councils, their local governments, and if they're campaigning on a specific platform of defunding police, just make sure that they understand how they're going to implement that, how that's going to transition and not affect public safety in a negative way.
Okay, that's very good. Very good. That's something we can support. We call on all of our 50 states of associates to really emphasize that our police departments across the country need proper funding. The idea of defund the police is a total misconception of how to improve the community's security. It failed in Minneapolis. They tried to push through a community service type enforcement, and people realized that suddenly they're not getting any response from police to protect them because the police aren't there, and it's really a very serious. I think that we can turn the corner on that now because all the politicians, for the most part, are now backing away from any concept of improving the police by cutting the funding. We were on a program with Chief Monahan of the New York Police Department, and he's retired since. But when Mayor de Blasio cut the fund by $1 billion for NYPD, he was very honest. He just said, you know, that the first area that's going to get cut is going to be community policing, because we have to have our patrol officers in cars with radios ready to respond. You can't cut that. So what happens is we lose that rapport with the community. We lose that kind of participation as part of the community and family of the community. That was very sad. And I watched when Chief Moynihan, when some riots broke out in New York during the whole tragedy over the George Floyd incident, tragic thing. But riots broke out in New York, and Chief Monahan was standing on the bridge, the ramp going up to the Brooklyn Bridge. He was standing below it, actually. Somebody came with a stick, a long, heavy pole, and started beating him on the head. He was bleeding. The chief of NYPD, he's retired now, Chief Monahan. We had a very powerful community meeting. About 120 pastors were online like this. And the unfortunate thing was so painful was that person that hit the chief of NYPD was released within about 4 hours. You know, with no bail and just that kind of thing. We don't want to really talk about those issues right now with you. We're really looking to how we can support your great work together with our clergy, and we have a ambassadors for peace. We're elected officials all over the country, so we're really grateful for you. One of the people that work with us in LA area is Congressman Loretta Sanchez, who's retired now, but she's she's very strong on law enforcement. She's also one of the major congressmen that was strong on armed forces. She's one of the strongest Democrats on armed forces. Great. There's great people out there. We do need to know who we're electing. So I just really, we want to thank you for everything you're doing. So also I know that the trend of violence over since 1990 has gone down in LA. Precipitous drop in the gun violence occurred since 1990 to 2019, and it's going up now because of the confusion right now. But how is the trend of violence? Is it still down from 1990, or do you think it could possibly go back up? There were, like, New York City had 2,500 gun deaths, illegal gun deaths, and then by 2019 it was down to 350 or 400 in a year. And I know LA saw that drop too. So how's the trend going now?
That's something that we monitor very, very closely on a monthly basis with all of our stations throughout LA County, all of our areas. And we fortunately, thank God, are not trending where we are comparing to those levels in 1990 and earlier. But there are occasions when we do have flare-ups in certain communities, in certain areas. And fortunately, we meet, we strategize, we work with the community to provide resources in those areas where we're struggling, where we are seeing higher levels of gun violence, gangs, narcotics activities, which all ties together, and which result, we don't want it to result in high levels of violence where we're seeing elevated numbers in our homicide rates. So it's something that when we see that it's escalating, again, we work with the community, we utilize the resources that we have available to us. And that's just, again, ties into, we have to make sure that we have those resources available to us, and that we don't have defunding to where we're going to get those resources taken away and we can't maintain our public safety.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Well, Nasser, did you want to give a comment here? I know you know Commander Race, and really exciting what happened, as there was some tragic attacks on synagogues and that kind of thing. Then the meetings with you and LAPD were also with Michael Moore occurred with a group of religious leaders, and Nasser was invited, and that's how it expanded. They saw Nasser has a far reach of hundreds of religious leaders. So Nasser, why don't you just share something about your work with the LA Sheriff's Department, LA County Sheriff's Department with Commander Race, and how that expanded, how you got those religious leaders together to support.
Yeah. Hi. Thank you so much, Officer Reyes. I appreciate that finally you joined us. We worked so hard to get you there, and I think God prepared you and sent you to this Zoom meeting, and we're going to have more Zoom meetings like that. I'm really inspired by your word that you said. I was working with Sheriff Baca for a long time before, and he got so much involved with UPF, our organization, and we went to Korea for World Summit, so many activities. And now I work with Chief Moore, And also, I like to work with you, with the sheriff department, and you, and see what we can do together. I mean, I feel that we can do a lot to support you, and you support us, and that is, I feel it. This is God's will, that we can bring communities together. We can educate them about, about the spirituality and love and care about the families. That's what we're doing. So we reduce the crime before they rise it, and you get into, you know, too much of headache. So that is what I feel that we do. We reach many families or communities, and we teach, we educate also the contact that we have, religious leaders. We have so many contact. So that's what we do. And I like to, see what you do and how we can work together. I'd like to meet you again and see what we can do with the Sheriff Department. I'm very inspired. And before, as I said, me and Sheriff Balka become like brothers. He actually become very close friend of mine, and he loved our movement. And he was doing interfaith in Sheriff Department long time. I don't know. I'm sure you know that. So that was very inspiring for me. So I like to work with you. Thank you so much for your remark. I was so inspired. I'm so happy to see you again.
Well, thank you, and it's a pleasure to see you again as well. And absolutely, it's something that we as a department, our sheriff Alex Villanueva, he is very committed to collaborating with all stakeholders to enhance public safety and to just get that message out that for us to work together to prevent crime. And it's we have a civilian advisory council that works with members of the community to do exactly what you are doing as well, is just getting that word out there, making people aware. And we also have a clergy council, so we can touch bases and connect so that I can steer you to the right unit commanders that we can use your wonderful work to get the message out there and just partner with more people to improve the quality of life out there in the communities, because that's the goal. And just very much looking forward to that.
Thank
Amen.
you.
Let's have a dinner
Thank you,
together
Commander.
and talk a little bit more about it.
Thank you so much. I'd like to just conclude with Dr. Madeline Clark Alexander. EJ, if you could bring her on, she's ready. She's done a lot with the police support and community counseling in Delaware. She's a professional educator and pastor, and then she's married now and moved to Indianapolis. Dr. Madeline, could you unmute and share your reflections on Commander Ray's wonderful presence here? Go ahead, Madeline, welcome.
Yes, greetings and thank you, Commander Reyes, so much for your input, your information. It gives us a different perspective of being on the outside and looking in, and what you are doing for the community. For we know that it is necessary for the community and the police department to come together, to form a community, to be in unity, and to stand together. So I thank you for all that you've done and all that you're doing and all that you look forward to. And as we continue to meet on a weekly basis, we pray that we will grow and extend the wealth of information with every community. Thank you so much, Reverend Stoner, for being here as well, representing Chicago and Indiana. Dr. Michael Jenkins, it's always a blessing to hear from you. One thing that I wanted to share as we move forward, everyone has the question, what can we do to make a difference? And sometimes it's just the small things, but to support our local law enforcement agencies to, when we see them, offer them a smile, offer them a kind word, as it's been clearly stated that police officers are committing suicide. And that's not something that we look into on any day, but to know that it's been confirmed. We know that the mental health issues are strong. So if we could extend ourselves to be kinder, to police officers. Let them know how important they are to our community, because after all, they are called to protect and serve. One of the notes that I want to make, I'm this group, and it's something that I had forgotten about until the topic came up again. This book, Engaging Nonviolence. It's Engaging Nonviolence, but it's actually a workbook that we can use in our communities to start having the conversations, to turn the situation around, to get into, again, the school systems and the churches, to be a voice to say, this is something that we can do, a change we can make in reference to the violence, to turn the situation around. So I thank you so much, Dr. Jenkins, for this opportunity to share my thoughts. I thank everyone that has participated and showed up for today. I thank you all for your contributions.
Thank you, Dr. Alexander, and thank you, Commander Reyes. Once again, we have the highest degree of respect for you and your LA County Sheriff's Department, and your sheriff is doing a great job. We're really in support. Want to encourage everybody here in LA County and throughout the LA area and the whole region. Let's support our police. They really need it. They need our full support. And Commander Reyes, any final word you'd like to give?
Yes, thank you. And, if I could just conclude with a couple comments here from the 9 principles of Sir Robert Peel, again, back when he established this back in 1829. But one of the principles is to recognize always that the power of the police to fulfill their functions and duties is dependent on public approval of their existence, actions and behavior, and on their ability to secure and maintain public respect. And one last principle here that I believe is very, very important in our work together is to always recognize the test of police efficiency is the absence of crime and disorder, and not the visible evidence of police action in dealing with them. And with that
Wow.
goes to show the strength that when we work together to educate the public, our communities, and for everybody to understand that laws exist for the good of society, and that we must conform to those and not disregard crime and excuse crime, because then we fall into lawlessness and the decay of society. So those are two of the 9 that are, I believe, that are very, very powerful. And I know that you all and we are working together, and it goes both ways in recognizing we have to, as law enforcement, we have to recognize the expectations of the community and work and respect those expectations so that we can enjoy just a nice, peaceful society.
Commander Reyes, we pray for you, and we ask all the pastors to do all they can to support the LA County Sheriff's Department, LAPD, and all the major cities. There's 30 major cities represented here by our chairman. So thank you very much. God bless everybody. We're really blessed to have this kind of support and presentation. We really want to find those principles from Officer Peel, isn't it? Officer Peel from the United Kingdom back in 1826.
Correct. That was Sir Robert Peel. He was a constable for the London Metropolitan Police Force.
We'll be bringing that on our next show, Commander. That is really good guidance. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful week, and let's help our police forces throughout this nation. Thank you.
Please. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks again.
Thank you, Officer Reyes.
Appreciate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep in touch.
Take care. Thank you very much.
Everybody.
All right. Thank you,
Thank you,
Dr.
Thanks,
Jenkins.
everyone.
Appreciate
Thank
for
you.
organizing.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so
Great
much,
job.
Officer Reyes. Beautiful.
All right.
Thank you, officer.
Appreciate it.
I come from a
Thank
police
you.
family in
Thank
Chicago,
you.
and I
Yeah, this-
really love and respect
Yes.
what you're doing.
You have my number,
Thank
right?
you.
Yes. Oh, yeah. You have Commander Reyes, and I have your number. So keep in touch.
Mhm.
Yes.
Will do.
together.
Yes, I have your number, I have your email, and we will certainly keep in touch.
The
Looking forward to it.
churches and the government together.
Amen.
That's it.
God bless.